Welcome to Building Better, where we explore the challenges and solutions shaping the future of the UK construction industry. I'm your host, Charlie Luxton, and today we're spotlighting the fundamental issue of gender representation in the UK construction industry. Now today, women make up 15% of the construction workforce, with around 340,000 women actively contributing to this vital sector. Even more encouraging, 37% of new construction workers entering the field are women, signalling a steady shift towards greater diversity. However, the picture isn't entirely rosy. While 16% of senior management positions are now held by women, this progress is far from uniform. A staggering 81% of women in the industry are still clustered in administration and design roles, leaving just 1% in the skilled trades. These statistics highlight the persistent barriers women face in breaking into more hands-on, technical areas of construction. And the challenges don't stop there. The gender pay gap continues to cast a long shadow, with women in construction earning up to a third less than their male counterparts. Furthermore, a disheartening 72% of women in the industry have reported experiencing gender discrimination at work. So while it's clear we're moving in the right direction, significant work remains to be done. Today, let's delve into the current landscape, celebrate our progress, and most importantly, discuss the steps we need to take to achieve true gender equality in construction. Men have long dominated the construction industry, but the rise of the Magnificent Seven marks a significant shift in this landscape. These 7 women, who each run successful SME house building businesses, are committed to supporting the next generation of female talent as mentors through the I'm a House Builder mentorship program set up by the All-Party Parliamentary Group for SME House Builders. Each of them has a unique journey and has made a substantial contribution to the field, overcoming numerous challenges along the way. Their experiences, filled with resilience and determination, provide a powerful narrative of ambition and the desire for a more inclusive future in construction.
So the Magnificent Seven came about via a guy called Edwin. He works a lot with the SME developers, and he was having these meetings with people and these events, and he was just found himself in rooms filled with men, and he felt that this needed to change because he recognised the importance that women can bring to the industry, a different eye that they can have, a different perspective. He went out and he searched and he found the women out there. He said it was a bit of a hard search because there weren't very many, and he brought us together, and I remember one of the first events we went to, and there was about 6 of us women in the room, and there was about 100 men, and it was really that stark contrast that really brought it home to me, because sometimes I'm in my own little world in our own business with me and my husband, and I forget what it's like in the rest of the world, and that really brought it home to me that actually I am doing this. So let's show to other people and let's be part of this to let them know that they can do this too for women.
So how do I define the Magnificent Seven? I think 7 magnificent women, confident, powerful, charismatic, trying to carve their own place in the world of property development. To be honest, I was deeply honored. The moment when I crossed the door into the parliament, it was a very special moment for me. I nearly had tears in my eyes because, I wasn't born here. I came here when I was 24. And when I first came, I was even struggling to secure a work permit. So for a long time, I was worried I wouldn't even have the legal status to stay in this country. And I have to work very hard for my work permit. And all of a sudden, here I am in the parliament. I'm like, okay, I made it. They're not going to kick me out anymore.
I will be honest, it was something that I was like, I'm not capable of doing that. I can't put myself in those situations full of a room full of men. and have those conversations, because a lot of the time I forget that, again, because in my day-to-day work I just get on with it, I forget that actually I do those things, I do have those conversations. And so I remember one of the first times I was put in those situations, and I was actually quite terrified going, but I came away and I spoke with Edwin at the end, and I was like, actually I had those conversations, I do have a place at the table, and I want to let other women know that they can have that too. And it's still a growing journey for me, but I'm grateful that Edwin was able to ask that of me to help me realise the place that I have. So the plan going forward for the Magnificent Seven, the opportunity for a mentoring scheme with each of us from the Seven. And so we have just closed the applications for that, and we're going to be going through and seeing who is most suitable to take part in it at this stage. And they're each going to be paired up with each of the women, you know, just to share what we've learned, and to share, especially in the role of the women, how we have managed both roles, you know, home life and work life, and to help them to move along their journey in the direction that they want to go in.
So I was actually not in development at all, no family background whatsoever. My background was actually finance. I used to work in investment fund, which is great, a lot of transferable skills. When I was on my maternity leave, actually something quite unfortunate happened to my family, which meant I probably is the only person who can work in my family. So I said to myself, I have to do something different. And I've always been interested in property. I think brick and mortar is kind of in my blood. So I thought, if I could do this, I know it's a huge risk. I had cold feet, and took me a lot of effort and mental determination to plunge myself into this, because it's something I've never done. But I say to myself, this is the opportunity. If I could make this a success, it could give me the flexibility, because I'll be my own boss. And also the flexibility to look after my girl, but also the financial stability I wanted for my family. So this was my chance, and I took it. And I think it was the best decision I have ever made for my life.
I hope to be able to help that person to be able to share the knowledge that we have from our business, from our journey. You know, we are first generation builders, and we've got to where we are ourselves. So I want to be able to share that passion with them. I want to be able to share that knowledge with them. We haven't had those connections along the way. We've really had to search it out and find it our own way. We've not had any mentorship along the way, particularly as women. Something that I found, even in comparison with my husband, even though we work alongside together and are equal, I'm having to work at almost double the speed to take on the knowledge and the learning and the growth, because he's had that longer time in the industry, because, you know, as a joint family decision, we chose to have children. So if we can help our mentee have that fast track with the knowledge, with the connections, with the guidance to, you know, whether it's financial or not necessarily mentally, but like emotionally, because there will be times when you do get setbacks, whether it be a setback in planning, whether it be a setback on finance, and it can be really disheartening. So if we can help give them that motivation and that support during their journey, because it's just nice to have someone hold your hand sometimes through things, isn't it?
When I first started, it was just me, and I had to do everything. I had to view properties, buy properties, speak to brokers, speak to lawyers, speak to planning consultant, architect, get the drawings done, and then I have to go to B&Q, buy the paint, go log online to Victoria Plumb and buy the, you know, all the plumbing, like all the boilers, different things. So I have to do everything end to end. But we have moved away from that. So we have around over 30 employees now. I can't be sure, but I think we may be the only one, or one of the very, very few companies, development companies led by a female CEO and founder, at the same time hires more female staff members than male. So we have more, actually, I think 60% of our staff members are female, and a lot of them are actually single moms. That's why I think that this Magnificent Seven, this initiative is so important because put us out there. And wow, there are actually female developers who are doing very, very well and will give other people hope. I even hired someone who is 7 months pregnant. She's obviously pregnant, and we talked about it. And I said that I'm not going to just, write you off just because you are 7 months pregnant. And I believe that because you are a mom, you have more reasons that you have to work hard because you have to provide financially and you also have to lead by example.
Our background for Stronghold Homes started when, I guess you could say, when Carl and I were dating. We both had a passion for building homes and knew that's something we wanted to do in the future. Carl was a carpenter by trade. I retrained whilst at home with our first child in interior design. And we've been going for nearly a decade now. It started out with 1 home and then 3 homes and then gradually on to 8, 9, 11. It's been quite a lot of the time an individual project at a time, and we've been aiming to get to the place where we can just roll on from one project to the next, both by financially and also having the site processed and ready to go with planning and that, and we're getting to that point. We also are really grateful for the opportunity that we have to show our children hard work. We were at a meeting recently where it was a group of developers together. Our daughter, so she knows I'm involved with the M7, and she was sat next to me and she said, "Mummy, which ones are the female developers?" And I said, "Well, of course there's me, because I work with Daddy, and Joanne from the M7 was there." And I said, "There's Joanne." And I didn't know many of the other people there, so I turned to Joanne and said, "Oh, can you point out who they are?" And she pointed out one other, and then she said, "And then there's also you're the next generation female developers." And that was a real moment for me because yes, I'm part of this campaign, encouraging women to come into housing developing. Yes, I am a female developer, but still it's reprogramming my own mind to remember that our daughters, both our daughters and sons, can choose what they want to do in the future. It's really important to me and really is the reason why I'm part of the M7, because at times I do feel not worthy to be here. I do feel imposter syndrome. And it wasn't till Edwin asked me that I actually recognised I am actually a female developer, because you just get caught up in your everyday, and because it's our own business. So that's why it's really important for me to be part of the M7, is that you are welcome in this place, and we're here to help you move through it.
It makes me feel good, make me feel empowered. And I think in a way it gives me competitive advantage. Like the reason, as for example, I was invited to the parliament, for example, we are talking now and get out there. If I'm a man, I probably wouldn't have those opportunities. You can see this photo, this taken outside meeting, and I'm the only girl, and they want me to stand in the middle. If I'm a guy, I can stand in the side. So I don't feel that. And I speak to a lot of my male colleagues, and I think they actually would like to see more women as well. And I think that's why this initiative is so powerful, because I actually think, of course, there are still structural issues with the industry, which make it a bit more difficult for ladies to join. But at the same time, I think there is some structural issues here as well. So I always thought it was me who should take a step back, who should be a housewife. But look at where I am now. But if I was not pushed, I was not, really thrown into the deep end, I wouldn't have the courage to do it. And I want to say to other young women, you have the opportunity and you can have a job and also look after your family.
Being a working mum is an ever-evolving process that you have to let some things slide, and you have to prioritise certain parts of the job role and certain parts of being a parent. I am one of the only mums that has been able to attend all of those sessions that they do at school, whether it be the phonics learning or going in and seeing their little piece of work that they've done. I want to be there for them, but also to be able to, sometimes as a mum, you can get lost in all of that, in all of your kids' journey. So the fact that I've been able to have my own role within the business and being able to have that opportunity for growth and for learning, and I've been surprised by how much I can achieve. I didn't think that was possible for me, and so with a role that's so diverse, it's a great opportunity to give that flexibility for women, but also have that growth and to learn who you are. It's okay for women to hold that and to be strong, because sometimes we perhaps make ourselves smaller than we are because that's what we're used to.
It's fair to say UK construction has never been the most representative of industries, traditionally speaking. But leading organisations are making great strides towards opening up equality, diversity and inclusiveness across all levels of their businesses. In roles that have been dominated by men for generations, businesses are benefiting from a greater range of experiences and expertise granted by great women in construction. And as one of these businesses, Saint-Gobain understands how important that is to building a better future. So we went out to hear the real female voices within the industry, understanding why the front line of construction is better thanks to women working on it. Katie, tell me about your role here at British Gypsum.
So I work in the factory at East Fleet Works. I'm a performance manager in the mill and the mineral handling department. So all the rock that comes onto site, I have oversight of, and then the blending of the rock, the grinding, the calcining of it, and then we send it to where it needs to go. So we have 2 board lines and a bag plaster plant as well.
So how did you end up in this role working in construction?
So I started out doing chemistry at university, and I did a PhD in chemistry as well, which was on a tiny scale, like milligrams of product that I'd be making. So when I finished 4 years of that, I'd had enough of the tiny scale, and I was like, I want to go big.
From tiny spoons to rock, massive lumps of rock.
I got a job in manufacturing. I started in pharmaceutical manufacturing, and then I moved into paper and pulp manufacturing. And then now I'm where I am now in plasterboard, bag plaster manufacturing.
So did you ever imagine yourself working in a kind of construction-based industry?
When I chose like sciences at A-level, probably not, but it was more, the more experience I got of chemistry at university, the more I realised that I do enjoy like the larger scale side of things. It's just a bit more exciting and bigger, like more things to play with, I guess. Also from the engineering side, like the machinery really interested me.
What is a typical day like? What are you going to do after we've finished chatting? What's on the cards for today in your role?
So a typical day, you come in about 7:30, you look what has happened over the last 24 hours. So it's 24/7 the factory, so you see what the night shift have been up to and the day shift the day before. See if there's any problems that you need to sort out, anything like immediate. And then we have a morning production meeting, and we'll just see what the order book's been like over the last 24 hours as well, which can affect production. And then it varies each day. So today I'm going to go and have a chat with the mine. I'm doing a problem solving exercise with my team on one of our machines which isn't behaving as it should.
I mean, do you get a white coat on and weigh bits of rock and mix them together, or is that sort of like it's moved up in a sort of a gear?
Yeah, so it's moved up. I used to do that, I guess, like a few years ago, and I still wear a boiler suit from time to time and like go up stacks and do combustion checks and things, or like I'll get involved.
Traditionally, women have had a relatively, small representation in the construction manufacturing area. I mean, how have you found that being a woman in what has been traditionally a male-dominated sector?
I haven't really had any issues with it. I think since I did chemistry at uni, there was always more like men that did the course than women. So I haven't really like struggled with it. Sometimes it might take a bit longer to build up rapport or respect with certain people, maybe if they're a bit older or like traditional views. But if you get used to that, you sort of know the types and know how to talk to people in different ways.
What is the kind of the mix in your area of the business, do you think?
In the factory, I'd say there's 20-30 women and maybe 210-220 men.
So it is quite masculine still?
Still, yeah.
And is that changing since you've been here?
Yeah, definitely. We've got a lot more like women coming through, which is great, like students, graduates. And it will take a while to obviously like to change, but yeah, definitely see positive movement in that regard.
And what is your favourite bit of the job? Is it that varied, every day varied, or is there specific things?
I do like innovation and scaling up new products and like launching into the market. That's pretty cool.
What would you say to women thinking about moving into construction, manufacturing and all the construction industry in general? Is it something you would be sort of positive and supportive about?
Obviously I can't comment on other like companies, but British Gypsum have really helped me with my training as well. So even if you don't have the skills initially, they can help you like develop those skills, which is really positive. And
so there's lots of different roles
for
lots of people with lots of skill sets.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are suitable irrespective of gender.
Yeah, I would say so, definitely.
Excellent. No, it's great. And you get to see really big machines crushing up rock and doing cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I love that. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, which is fine. But yeah, I think it's very cool.
Jag, tell me about your role here.
So my current role is as Head of Sector Development for the retrofit and refurbishment sector for Saint-Gobain Interior Solutions, but I have been with the group for over 5 years.
So what does that involve? And that sounds like a huge sector to be looking at because we've got a lot of houses to refurbish, haven't we?
Yeah, it is complex, and you have to keep up with all these trends and changes in government, regulation, all sorts. So really big, really exciting, but yeah, it's taken a lot of learning, and I am still learning.
And on a day-to-day level, what does it involve?
My focus at the moment is on social housing, but actually, because it's retrofit, it could be commercial buildings. So speaking to main contractors, speaking to all sorts of stakeholders across the industry as well. Because my role is about developing a proposition for Saint-Gobain to take to the market and the industry sector and actually make it work for them as well.
Does it make you feel good that ultimately you're trying to improve people's lives, health and well-being?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, on a big scale,
massively.
For lots and lots of people.
Yeah, especially speaking to tenants, and we're a member of a tenant organisation as well. And as cheesy as it sounds, we are trying to build better and make it better for people and the planet. And that's why we say that as Saint-Gobain. It's so important because there are tenants out there who can't live, and a home is something which they want to feel safe in. It's really special. Really,
well, with
special.
the black mold issues, you genuinely are. I mean, you get it right. You get it right, and you support the industry to transform those homes. You are making a huge impact on the life outcomes of a lot of people.
Yeah.
How did you end up? What's your journey to this
My
position?
journey. All right. So I landed in construction. I can't even sit here and say, this is the role, this is the industry I wanted to go in. My background is marketing and brand, and straight out of uni studied marketing, went into different roles within retail, medical devices, different industry sectors. Just over 5 years ago, I had to change my thinking, and my circumstances were 2 young kids, and I saw a role come up for Artex, which is now Ocano. It's the distribution business within Saint-Gobain UK. But my thinking was, wanted something a little bit more glamorous, but construction, I never thought of construction. And I had these, when I started thinking about it, I thought, well, I'll just go for the interview. I had these preconceived ideas that it's going to be a male-dominated industry. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised, and I honestly loved it. And my day-to-day was speaking to mixed, diverse people who work in the industry. I believe there's something for everyone in construction. It's really opened my mind.
What would you say to women thinking about construction as a career, or critically not thinking about construction as a career?
Do you know, yeah, I would actually say open your mind. Don't do what I did. I'm an example of basically having that tunnel vision and just landing in it, and actually I was quite lucky because I love it. But if somebody's seriously thinking about a career, don't knock things if you haven't tried them. Construction is brilliant and it's exciting. I mean, you're an architect, and working with architects as well and understanding the shapes of buildings, the type of buildings, and how what you do can impact people who are really struggling at the moment.
I mean, my take on it is that the construction industry massively needs to revolutionise an upper skill set, given the challenges we've got around climate change. And the only way we're going to do that with as wide a pool of people involved in the industry as possible, with different thoughts and different ways of attacking problems. So it's a great time to get involved.
It's brilliant.
Charlotte, tell me about your role here at Saint-Gobain.
So I am an interior solutions trainer, and I basically run courses for internal staff or external people that want to just visit and have a course. Basically anything that we manufacture as a system or product, we can run a course on it.
Now, because I know that you're a very accomplished plasterer.
Well, I've learnt on the job. My background was actually sales and kind of customer service, I suppose. I started with British Gypsum 5 years ago as a regional account manager. So I started in sales, and then COVID happened and I couldn't go out and visit my customers, but I had an opportunity to come down to the academy as a trainer on a secondment basis, and then I got offered the full-time job. So I've gone from a very desk-based sales background to now very practical, hands-on, being in front of people and training.
That's a really interesting journey. I mean, because as a younger you, and what would you say to a younger you? There is all these careers that you're not thinking about.
Correct. I wouldn't have put myself in this position. I wouldn't have thought of doing this, when I was younger, or thinking about what I want to do when I'm older. But actually, I find I'm more of a practical person anyway, so I enjoy being in front of people. I get a lot of kind of satisfaction knowing that someone's left a course that I've ran and they've taken something away with that, if you know what I mean.
Do you think it's partly about role models? That there aren't that many women plasterers, there aren't that many women builders actually on the tools. I mean, the statistics are incredibly low. I mean, there's an increasing number of women in construction, but still very few on site and on the tools.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I honestly, when I had the opportunity to come into the academy, I thought to myself, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Like, what have I done? And then I committed, and the ball was rolling with it. The business obviously thought it was a good idea. I've really enjoyed it. There's no reason why women can't be in trades or be in construction. I think it's a really good career thing to do. If people are hands-on and they enjoy, physically building something and you can see what you've done at the end of the day, then I'd recommend it.
It also strikes me that building is actually moving increasingly towards a realm where women have an equal role to play on site, because the sizes of bags are getting smaller, because actually anyone lifting a 25 kilo bag or block, it's going to hurt them over time, and we know that now, and everything's getting a bit lighter and smaller because it wears people out.
We use equipment in the academy, in the workshop, just to make life a bit easier for yourself, so we're not humping heavy boards around by ourselves and things like that, or carrying many bags at any one time. So, you can use equipment and things to help you lift boards onto ceilings and things like that. So,
what would you say to a younger you, or to other younger women thinking about this industry?
Don't talk yourself out of it. You can quite easily think, oh, I can't do this, I've never done it before. But there's always support. I at one point I thought, well, who will listen to me who's not had the experience on site? I'm a woman. How will they receive me? And I've not had any pushback or any kind of negative feedback from it. They listen to me. Like I say, they'll go away and think, oh, I've learnt that today. I think it's just the way the world's moving. I think, like you say, equality, the opportunities that people can have, women can have now in the industry, in the trade, it's a bit of an archaic way to think that, you know, women don't belong in construction, or, you know, there's no reason why that should be the case now.
We heard earlier that 37% of new workers entering construction are women, which is an amazing statistic. But there's always more we can do as an industry. The Interior Solutions brand within Saint-Gobain Group, British Gypsum and Isover share more than a common business background. They're part of the Together as One network, which is committed to championing and advancing diversity, equality, inclusion and belonging right across the construction industry. And to explore what this means in practice, we've been talking to some of the people involved.
I started at Saint-Gobain Interior Solutions around 7 months ago as the Sector Marketing Communications Manager for the retrofit and refurbishment sector. I wanted a different kind of opportunity in a large global business. It's not something I've really done before, and I was really interested in the purpose of Saint-Gobain, in that they want to make the world a better home that aligns with my personal values, and I saw a lot of correlation with the job role. In terms of my own skill set and an opportunity to add real value. When I had the interview for this role, I specifically asked questions around diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging, because it is something that's really important to me. Throughout my career, I've been involved in various initiatives at different size companies to set up working groups and strategy. So in my interview for this role, I asked about that and whether there was an opportunity to get involved, and there was. And so since I've started, I've been very involved in the Together as One group.
Being a woman in an engineering background, I was kind of one of the diverse people, but not the only diverse group, but I was quite passionate about that side of it. I was interested in helping people, you know, be comfortable and have the right things in place within the business, so just share the experience really. SGIS came up with having some D&I ambassadors. I was approached to join that group, and then the Together as One kind of came around, so I was then approached to kind of go on the steering committee for that.
Together as One is our working group at SGIS for diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging, and Together as One is across all of Saint-Gobain UK and Ireland, so there is a steering group that works across all of the brands within that part of the business, and then each brand has their own working group.
Everything became Together as One, so we kind of named we voted on it and became the Together as One group, because it's all about inclusion really, and all of it is just making people feel welcome in business. We're trying to get a lot of workshops together to get everyone else involved and having those just provoking conversations really.
We're in the early stages, so we've just literally had a meeting around setting up for the rest of the year and looking into next year, the activities we want to go forward with. It's an opportunity for everybody across SGIS to take part in an inclusion workshop.
So each brand will have its own challenges with location or the type of business they're in. It's really just about getting the message out there that we are interested, that this is something that's important for us to improve on.
I think it's important when we talk about this topic that we refer to it as DEIB, standing for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion and Belonging. I think historically it's been called EDI, and that E is often referred to as equality, but there's a huge difference between equality and equity, and I think that's a really important nuance. The difference being that having an equitable workplace means that everybody is given the right opportunities catered to where they're starting from. And there's a really powerful image that's been shared a lot to sort of explain the difference between equity and equality, that shows if you had a race and there's some children behind a fence trying to look over the fence to see that race, but they've all got different circumstances, and maybe one's in a wheelchair, for example. If you give them a box to step up on so they can all see, it's not going to have the same output for their own individual circumstances. So that's really the difference between equity. It's catering that adjustment to the needs of the person.
We had the opportunity within our Purpose Day, Saint-Gobain Purpose Day, to run an All That We Share activity, and that we captured probably about 800 people across SGIS. So all that we share is like, what have we all got in common? There is a set of 25 questions, and yeah, people can't. You just look around the room and think, actually, I didn't know we had that in common, and it's just really getting some conversations and people to just go out of the room thinking slightly differently.
We have looked at a number of workshops. One of those was the Privilege Walk, which we did together as a group. That exercise is a really interesting exercise to do with a group of colleagues. So you essentially line up and one person is the facilitator. They have a list of statements which you either step forward or step back to, depending on the statement. For example, one of the statements in the session we did was step forward if one of your parents has gone to university. So it's questions like that about your lived experience. One that was really relevant to me, that I was the only one that stepped back for, was step forwards if you can go anywhere in the country and get the hair products and skin products that you need. And that surprised people in the room, and they are people that are engaged with inclusion, diversity, equity, belonging. So you can imagine how powerful it will be with the rest of the organisation, with those that maybe aren't as engaged in the topic, because if that can surprise them, then it will certainly surprise others with the different statements that are discussed within that exercise.
When I first started, it was kind of, I would get mistaken for somebody that was in an administration role. So I would walk into a meeting and people would be assuming that I was the one making the coffee and taking the minutes, but actually I was probably chairing the meeting at the time. There weren't many engineers in, working in manufacturing who were female. So it's just really about, not shouting or anything and just letting people know gently that that's probably not very appropriate. Don't tend to get that anymore. There's another bit about if you set diversity targets, then if you are in a minority, you might think you're a tick box, and that's really not how we want to make people feel. So, I only got my job because I'm a woman. Maybe I've had that question posed to me before. It's not true. I got my job because I was the best person for it. But people might ask that question. So, it's getting better for people in minorities to come forward and be welcomed in, because people's mindset is changing.
Certainly in other workplaces where my race has become an issue, or the fact that I'm the only woman in the room has become an issue, but I'm not just the only woman in the room, I'm the only woman of colour in the room, so it becomes something that sort of compounds, and it's my experience, and it's hard sometimes to get that across to people that aren't affected by those cross points of intersectionality and have challenges in the workplace, because it's not something they necessarily think about. I've become a lot more confident as I've gone through my career in calling it out and challenging and not being afraid to do that. But when I first started my career, I certainly didn't feel that way. It was sort of navigating the world of corporate life is hard enough, and then adding in those elements as well, that was certainly challenging. The way that I addressed that was by finding a mentor that had similar characteristics to me, but was more senior and more experienced, and being able to share best practice examples, personal experiences and ways of dealing with that really helped me. So I definitely encourage mentorship. It's something that I'm doing here as well.
So we're all volunteers. No one's getting paid any extra to do anything. We don't get extra time in our day. We're all doing it because we're passionate and interested in, Saint-Gobain strapline is making the world a better home, and we're trying to make Saint-Gobain a better home for everyone to work in.
It's stories like this that really highlight the great advances and achievements happening every day in construction right across the UK. Let's turn now to more celebrations of the great work done by women in construction, returning for another look at successful SME building businesses from one of the Magnificent Seven.
Hi, I'm Georgina Hammond and I am co-founder of Bow Property. The Magnificent Seven is a group of 7 women who all work within the construction industry. I think all of them run or MD of their companies, having either founded or have inherited the companies that they run today. So all the women are at the helm, and we are a group of really like-minded women that have come together, and our joint mission is to be able to help and support young women or any women for that matter who are looking for a career in the construction, house building industry, to support them in an industry that isn't necessarily or hasn't necessarily had that support structure in place previously. There was a real sense of relief actually, because it just felt wonderful that there was like-minded people that wanted to make a change, and there's a lot of organisations that say they're going to support women in property or women in construction, and I do think kind of particularly maybe from the bigger organisations that's a lot of lip service because they have to be seen to be doing something. Whereas what Edwin was talking about, and then subsequently having met the other 6 women, it's a real desire to make a change, and I think probably house building is one of the last industries to really go through that transformation.
Very random. So I was in bed one night, I could not sleep at all. I was just on my phone scrolling through LinkedIn, actually recently installed it, and I saw Edwin's account, and then it was linked to Show magazine. I just thought, do you know what, I'm going to click on it. And I saw everyone's face in hard hats, all women, and I thought, I've never seen this in my 4 years of being obviously in industry and seeing it online. And I thought, I'll click on it. And I saw his name called Edwin De Silva, and I messaged him and I was like, hi, I'm Abby, I work obviously for his employer. I'm really keen to obviously get involved in this group. And then the next week I was meeting up with Edwin and Georgina, my now mentor, and we literally just hit it off straight away. Literally the same sort of person, Edwin the same like-minded people, wanted to really help me out at the time of my career. I was forever fortunate.
She's a young 21-year-old woman who's just got her degree in construction and engineering, which is incredible, from Greenwich University. We hadn't fully launched the scheme at that point, but Edwin had a look at locations and saw that Abbey was located in the southeast, relatively close to where I am, and that was it. We just had a meeting and hit it off instantly. There's ways that I would like to support her, whether that's just kind of helping with putting together CVs or how to promote yourself from a personal brand perspective on LinkedIn for new jobs and opportunities. But then once Abby's confirmed what her next job is going to be and the organisations she's working in, I really want to kind of help her navigate her career and things that she can do to really kind of grow within the next role that she chooses, and to be able to set goals for what her career is going to look like.
Help is not the word. She's become like my mum, my sister, my best friend, sort of like boss woman. Like, I honestly aspire to be like Georgina. I mean, when we first met at this photo shoot with Edwin, just this instant connection, and I've never ever had it before with anyone in my life, and it's like it was fate that we actually got brought together through the scheme. Even just sitting there, just talking to me about her day life with her kids, obviously with Chris, her husband, and just getting to know her life, and to actually embody that, to be, do you know what, I can do what she's done. Like, she's been in my shoes once, I'm literally following her now, being her little shadow and just being a part of her life, and it's just so raw, and it actually means a lot to me. I've never seen someone so absorbed into work, and obviously she got her BU property with Chris, and I've never known to see a business start from where she started it now to where it's at, because I've always seen the opposite end of obviously new builds and seeing it go PLC, and seeing it from an SME point of view is quite nice for me just to be a part of it.
It was very organic growth of our company, from buying single units to building multiple houses. So just guidance on how you buy your first house, how you navigate mortgages, how much you can borrow when you've got a salary coming in, general information about the industry and my story and how I started and how we scaled the company, I think has proven really valuable and interesting to Abby, who's someone who's incredibly enthusiastic about building a life. But then also from a career perspective, I've helped her to navigate a challenging situation, and then having Abby is now going through a job application process, so helping her with that, looking at CVs. There has been a whole raft of guidance that I hope I've given her so far in this journey. I started in property from a relatively young age, watching my parents buy and sell property and build houses and living on building sites. But then I knew that I always wanted to get into property in some way. However, I thought my entry into the industry was by getting a really good job in the city and earning a really good salary in order to buy a house. I never once thought about going in via the construction route, whether that was going to university to study construction or whatever it might be. Like, that thought did not even cross my mind because I wasn't aware of what opportunities would be available off the back of that. So I started alongside my husband, my now husband, my partner at the time, and we were buying property in London just after the financial crisis in 2009, and we were in a fortunate position to be able to be in the market at that point with some cash to buy property. We spent our days, our nights, whilst working full-time jobs, stripping the walls and painting and putting in kitchens and doing it all ourselves, really. And then within 6 months we were like, let's just get this valued and see where we're at. It was really heartbreaking at the time because we'd moved into it. It was our first home together, and we're like, oh, okay, let's sell it. So we sold it, and then we bought another 2, and then we continued to do that. We launched the company in 2015, and from there we've just worked really hard on land and strategy, and we are now in a really good position.
So obviously I started my interest in construction well before the degree. So I was 13 years old living with my dad, had his own sort of conversion going on, and he said to me one day, go and jump on that digger, go and move bricks for me. And I said, Dad, are you actually joking? Like, I'm literally 13 years old. He went, no, go and do it. And from doing that, I found I actually quite enjoyed being outside and being a part of doing it. And I actually moved schools at a young age, had a big interest into construction and engineering, doing my BTECs, then onto my degree. My mum was absolutely petrified. She went, who do you think you are? Like, you're literally 13 years old, you can't sort of tell me what you're going to be doing, like, you haven't got a clue. And I said, Mum, I feel it in my heart that I need to do it. So we found it through a post in the letter saying, come and join UTC, like, they do construction engineering. So I went to go and view the school, and I just thought, wow, like, it actually has something that I'm actually interested in. And we sort of transitioned during my sort of year 9 choosing option period. But when I switched schools and she saw that I was really studying for it, she sort of went, do you know what, you was right. And obviously once I finished that, she sort of gave me a pat on the back saying, like, you made the right choice at that point of your life. Pivotal, she says. So I graduated, my mum was there, she was crying her eyes out because she didn't really understand the industry and what I was doing. She went, you're in a Mel's Wells, and I said, Mum, I'm gonna make it. And I sort of proved her wrong in a sense, but obviously now I've graduated, I'm now obviously a part of Georgina's life as such, going to events with her and just sort of shadowing her day to day. And obviously now I'm looking to find the right mould and fit for where my degree sits, obviously construction management / engineering.
I hope she achieves to be an MD of a PLC house builder, because I know that she's got it in her. She's incredibly determined. She's so enthusiastic. She loves house building. She loves building houses. She loves everything from how you dig foundations to get out of the ground. She's like incredibly technically minded. And I just think that is so amazing and encouraging from the next generation that people have the enthusiasm and they want to get into this industry because they actually feel passionately about it and love it, as opposed to any other reason. So I think from Abby's perspective, the sky is the limit and she can achieve anything she wants to achieve.
I used to get freezing cold. I mean, like, even in the winter time, and it was snowing. Like, I remember sitting in the office in my hot chocolate, just shivering, thinking, oh, can I go home? Like, this is actually, why am I putting my body through this? And obviously now seeing the other end of it, like it's saying, you do see the light. And if I would have had that support years ago with the likes of Georgina, I would know there's other roles. I think I was very predominant wanting to stay on site to do site management, but now I know I could possibly go into like property investment, development, and go into more senior role, which never been really explained to me.
Women need this support in an industry that is male dominated. So that's what it is. Whether it's the subcontractors on site to the managing directors of PLC house builders, this industry from bottom up is male dominated, and it has been, and that is a historical reason. That is changing, and I think if we had this conversation in 10 years' time, that would look very different. But while we go through that transition period, there needs to be role models and support for women that are taking the move to enter this industry to help them thrive in order to be a success.
It's brilliant to see and celebrate the work that women in construction are doing every day. Great projects, great designs, great achievements. We need to keep our focus on these great women throughout the year, and we'll be returning in future episodes to discover what they're up to. But for now, all we have time for in this episode. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time for more insights and inspiration that's helping us all on the way to building better.